Yo, what's up, guys? We got another video today. This one just pulled up on that timeline for YouTube, and hold on, I wanna bookmark this Jurassic Wilds prehistoric domain. I wanna bookmark that. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, Game of the Year got canceled for using AI. Is that true? Have I been like? Did I miss that? Expedition 33. They were using AI. Let's see. It's by Sam Does Arts. Oops.
That is currently ongoing involving a game. What's up, guys? In today's video I want to talk about a situation that is currently ongoing involving a game called Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This is arguably one of the best games made in the last 10 years, and it was actually made by a really small developer. It's got beautiful art direction, incredible character design, and the environments also feel so delicately crafted, so it's not a surprise that this game went on to win like 8 awards at the Game Awards of 2025. I've personally played through this game, and I think artistically it is very much deserving of all the awards that it has been given. But that's not all. This game actually went on to win the Indie Game of the Year award as well, which is a lesser known award, but the internet just recently rediscovered an issue where Expedition 33 was said to have used Gen AI in its development process. And this whole thing has just blown up spectacularly, and just recently the Indie Game Awards has announced that it has taken back the Game of the Year award from Expedition 33 and they're giving it to someone else. Now I find this to be a very interesting ongoing situation involving the gaming and art industry, but I also think a lot of people online are just seeing that.
Did they disclose that they used Game of the Year? Oh, it now goes to Blueprints. Whoa.
The headlines and not actually understanding what's going on here. So here's how the entire AI shenanigans started. Expedition 33 comes out April 24th, 2025. Like April 26th, 2 days after the release of the game, a post was made on X saying, "Correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears as though Clair Obscur Expedition 33 used generative AI for these textures." Now, if we just take a closer look at some of the newspapers pasted on this lamppost here, you can see there's a lot of artifacts, especially in the titles as well as the images, that really does seem to scream Gen AI. The developer was then notified of this, and within 5 days they were able to patch this out. So
what did you say? This placeholder art made by AI but not put into the final version is what got Expedition 33 disqualified. Wait. Yeah, that's not even the same picture. I'm guessing the one on the left is like the actual rendered one, and then the one on the right was just for concept, I'm assuming, right?
The developer was then notified of this, and within 5 days they were able to patch this out. So here's a comparison of the post before and after the texture has been updated. And ever since then, it seems like everyone has forgotten about that instance, and this game has been getting non-stop praise and love. But of course, that is all until another CEO from another studio decided to start yapping about them using Gen AI to develop.
Yeah, wasn't that pretty obvious? Larian. They did say that, yeah. Won't be any AI generated content in Divinity. Everything is human actors.
Develop concept art and write placeholder text. Now, this pissed off a lot of people, and with all of that rage, some people decided to channel it towards Expedition 33. Here's a post saying Expedition 33 team freely admitted using AI and just won the most awards ever in the Game Awards history.
Freely admitted. We use some AI, but not much. Alpice. The key is that we were very clear about what we wanted to do and what to invest in. And of course, technology has always allowed us to do things that were unthinkable a short time ago. True. Unreal Engine 5's tools and assets may have been very important in improving the graphics, gameplay, and cinematics. I'm guessing it was just for like the concept art and stuff.
And there's a quote, right? "We use some AI, but not much. Unreal Engine 5's tools and assets have been very important in improving the graphics, gameplay, and cinematics." And this situation has actually emboldened a lot of pro AI people to say that AI to help develop video games is here to stay. So it was basically a perfect storm.
Yeah, because like, it's really not bad. Like I've always said,
AI.
Like using AI in and of itself is not damning. It's not damning to me. It's not bad to me. But it depends on the length that you use it. Like how the length of which you go when you use it, what you use it for, why you're using it, things like that. But Yeah, because like when it's for something like this, that's supposed to be like if it's for if say if they did like AI for like the actual like characters, like they took and all the characters were like AI generated, all the voices and stuff like that, it would like for such an emotionally like intentionally emotionally resonant piece of media like Expedition 33 that needs like that human element to really thrive, it would be completely wasted. It would be completely wasted. But in their examples at which they were using it and other examples as far as like compiling ideas into like a succinct like framework or something like that, or like typing up a quick reference of something that's like in their head that they want to like visually look at to save for later to put into an actual like physical development cycle. Stuff like that, I feel like is super helpful, super useful, because it takes like that like it takes the lag that would have like because there's plenty of lag on game development anyways, right? But it takes like a little bit of that lag out of the development process when you can say instead of saying, "Hey, uh, I'm the designer of a certain part on the game," right? And you're like, "Okay, how do I get this idea that's in my head communicated onto the paper?" If for one, you like you're a designer but you're not an artist, right? That's a pitfall. Or if your like art is not very good at doing that, or if you like you'd have to get somebody to draw it for you, like explain it to them and draw it for you, and that in and of itself takes a lot of time and resources. So not to say that it's not a valuable resource, but it's just like as an artist, I feel like there's gonna be more. There's gonna be definitely more things to do um, than like being like the translator. And of course, you can do that. Personally, I like that, but it's like less efficient. I feel like it's like it can even enhance the like um, designer to or idea to implementation pipeline, if that makes sense. Because somebody's gonna draw it on the back end anyways. Like once it's already fully fleshed out. So why not let AI be the middleman because it's fast and and can pretty very and can usually clearly understand like what it is you're trying to go for. Uh, and if not, then you can easily quickly redo it, and you don't have to like wait for cycles to like run and iterate until you like get the idea that's in your head to be visually represented. So it's very efficient um, as far as like communicating ideas and things like that. So when it's used like that, I feel like I feel like honestly, it's a plus. It's a super plus when it comes to development cycles because development cycles are so long, and like you know, it's cool to work on like a long project, but if the project is gonna be long anyways, it doesn't have to be infinitely long. You know what I mean? Like you can efficiently do things where you have the availability to do so, and I feel like it's an overall plus. But um, not when it takes away from the actual purpose of and integrity of the project itself, right? So like using AI for the characters and the voices just because it's more efficient, I don't agree with. However, using AI to quickly iterate ideas that are then going to be drawn from idea to practice, I agree with 100% because I feel like it's super good. And it cuts down a lot of that development time that people are like, hey, you know what? This game's coming out in the next 7 years. You know what I mean? And like, you can make a lot of good games. You could probably make two games, two fun, great games in the same span that it takes you to make one game if you use generative AI in the process. Not for the final result, but in the process. That's my whole thing.
addicts. And this situation has actually emboldened a lot of pro AI people to say that AI to help develop video games is here to stay. So it was basically a perfect storm.
Yeah, I
People
like
got
it.
really mad about this, and eventually it led to the Indie Game Awards basically withdrawing their award and giving it to another game. But the problem with this
That's
whole
so crazy.
situation is there's a lot of missing context, and it seems to be another case of you're either with
But
us
what did
or
they do,
against
though?
us. Everything is black and white. Here's an article
They
all
just
the way
used
back
it,
from
like,
July from a publication
in the
that actually
development
got in
cycle,
touch
right?
with the developers. Sandfall Interactive indicated that it had used a limited number of pre-existing assets, notably 3D assets sourced from the Unreal Engine marketplace. Sandfall Interactive further clarifies that there are no generative AI created assets in the game. When the first AI tools became available in 2022, some members of the team briefly experimented with them to generate temporary placeholder texture. Upon release, instances of a placeholder texture were removed within 5 days to be replaced with the correct textures that had always been intended for release, but were missed during the quality assurance process. Now, just in case that was actually not enough context, the CEO of Sandfall Interactive, which made Expedition 33, has been quoted saying, "I think we agree that when it comes to anything creative, our answer is essentially no," in reference to, using
Yeah.
things and making things with Gen AI. It's like taking away all the joy of creating a game. We love making games, we love creating. Creating is one of the most beautiful things people can do. So when it comes to creation, our answer is a firm no. Nothing in the game will come from AI. We state this clearly, it's a firm no for us. The game's music composer has also backed up this statement, saying he's not worried about AI because he can't see it replacing the kind of creative work that comes from the heart or posing a threat to composers or even voice actors. And here's another quote saying, "When AI first really came out in 2022, we already started on the game. It was just a new tool. We tried it. And we didn't like it at all. It felt wrong. We had originally used it as a placeholder for textures we missed, but we took it out as soon as we found it. But yeah, the concept art, voice actors, everything is human made. It is pretty hard to predict what the future of the industry will look like, but everything will be made by humans from us." So in this case, my belief is that this is a situation involving the artists and developers of the game that just got blown way out of proportion. This person on X put it really well. Over 5 million people played Expedition 33 and only one instance of AI was found. And it was a small placeholder that was patched out, and Sandfall admitted it was from 2022. Now for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys out there, we would prefer to have no Gen AI content in the media that we consume. But in this specific scenario, it just seems like it was something that was genuinely a small experimentation that was done in 2022, was patched out. It was never meant to be anything that was supposed to stay in the game. And combining that with the CEO's actual stance on Gen AI, I don't think this whole situation warrants the amount of hate that the game has gotten.
for
Do I
sure.
want Gen AI in my games? Hell no. But can I forgive something like this from a smaller developer? Yes, I can. Everything is situational and everything requires context.
That's basically the equivalent of finding a bug in a game. But instead of like a bug in the code, it's a bug in, oh, we forgot to switch this out. You know what I mean? And that's essentially kind of what bugs in codes can be too. If there's a certain line of code that's like, you weren't able to fix it or you didn't fix it, and then like some weird thing, like some like niche interaction triggers it, then it creates the bug. That's kind of what I see this as, just a bug.
But it seems like there is a small subset of people that are just so dead set on the black and white view of everything related to Gen AI that they're not able to comprehend this or have a more nuanced view of this situation. Someone said 1% of shit in my food is still shit in my food. Just because they took it out after getting caught just means they are cool with doing it as long.
I'm gonna be real with you, bro. I'm gonna be so for real with you, bro. You're probably yapping on 1% of shit at all times. You just don't know what organism it's from. It probably can't even detect it. Probably can't even see it. Hey.
As they aren't caught. Doesn't matter what ends up in the final product. Any use of Gen AI, even to search the internet, still validates the mass non-consensual scraping of all works. Here's a bit of useful context, okay? My Gen still validates
fascist AI use. Whoa, that's crazy.
the mass non-consensual scraping of all works. Here's a bit of
That's so crazy. That's a crazy take, bro. Never let him run for office for anything. That's a crazy take.
Useful context, okay? My genuine take on this as someone in game dev is that people just don't understand the last part of the quote. He specifically references Unreal Engine's tool suite, which allows for plugins that use generation to speed up process. These tools reference contained assets from their own databases to create what you need as placeholders in your game. Broch being against creative AI tells me that they're not on Gemini or ChatGPT creating assets for placeholders, and they're most likely using Unreal Engine 5's tools and third-party plugins to do this, which is what a lot of game devs have been using. My stance as an artist, as many of you guys know, is that I don't like Gen AI, and I would prefer to not have it in any of the content that I consume. I personally don't want Gen AI content to be something that is widely accepted and consumed because I believe in art that is made with human creativity that comes again from the heart. But hate campaigns like this one towards studio devs and artists, who a lot of them have clearly expressed that they are not on the side of Gen AI. It's just been taken way too far by a few very extreme people. Again, I think it's important for us to make it known to companies and corporations that we don't want Gen AI content, we don't like this stuff, let's vote with our feet, let's vote with our wallets. But this situation has been kind of crazy, especially considering that the devs have actually been relatively open about everything that's been going on behind the scenes. So I feel like this situation is probably going to set some sort of precedent going forward, especially for AI generated content, but I do hope that something like this doesn't happen again. Now, the hate on Coca-Cola, the hate on McDonald's for using Gen AI Christmas ads is great. It's fantastic. It's like sunshine and rainbows in the sky. I love that shit. Those are big corps using AI as a way to cut costs, cut labor, remove artists, voice actors, videographers. They're cutting costs, they're cutting jobs at everybody else's expense. But this case is so different. You know, I think there's just no nuance here, and people are jumping on the hate bandwagon just because they saw AI next to the title of this game. The world needs a little bit more nuance. The world needs a little bit more context. That's my take. Be firm in your beliefs and your values. Speak up and demand change when the situation warrants it, absolutely, but also be able to give grace to people who might deserve a second chance, like the developers and artists who worked on this game. But regardless of all of that, I think this just goes to show how important it is to be transparent and be very upfront about your usage of Gen AI if you do ever use it in a project. At this point, as the internet keeps getting more and more fake and we keep getting fed more and more fake content,
who we were making we were working on a game, and he was telling me about how he wanted to use like AI in like certain ways, and then I had to check him. I was like, yo, so like, did you get consent from the artists to like train the AI like based on them, and like, are you compensating them for it? And then we had to have like a whole conversation about that before I was like able to really like before I was able to really speak to what he was saying, because I was like, that doesn't sound right, bro. What are you on right now? I was like, this doesn't sound right. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Just like, you know, ethical AI usage is how I like to do it. Cause like, yeah, using Gen AI is like, it's I don't like. See, there's this is gonna be such a long video, but fine, I'll speak on it. So, as far as Gen AI goes, right? Like, the Gen AI that's already out there is so bad in terms of like ethical usage, because it's stolen so much of like other artists' work unconsensually for its training, which I don't like. I had an entire conversation with some friends a while back about how like the ramifications of which like I would be okay with personally using the AI to like do things. Um, and one of the contingencies was like, oh, okay, so the people that like sign up for it was basically like saying, okay, how would I design like AI usage for the modern age, um, apart from like the tools that already exist, right? Like, how would I personally create it, right? It would have to be trained off of people who consensually sign up to get trained for it and are fairly compensated for their involvement in the training of said AI. You know what I mean? And they you know, get, or whatever kind of financial bounce back they can get from it. You know what I mean? Whether it's like, you have like, okay, we're gonna create this generative AI model, right? and it's going to take in the artworks of like 1,000 different artists, right? And each of those artists are going to be paid for their contributions, and um, the AI will have like access to their like libraries and things like that, and will pay them a royalty um, based on like the AI's lifetime of like generative AI, right? Like per generation, they'll be like paid out a royalty. Now that I think is a solid system. That's something that could be like, you know what? All right, I can get behind that. You know what I mean? But like the random just like uh random just like internet thief AI, bro. I really don't like that junk at all, bro. At all. I think it's so crazy. That's why when I did my AI voice clone that I did to do some voiceover jobs, when I'm uh, like the ones that I either don't have time to do or like I don't feel like doing because it's like, you know, it doesn't necessarily require uh, too much input. It's just like communicating information. You know what I mean? Um, but when I trained the AI voice clone, I trained it off of like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like minutes of my own voice, like videos and stuff, like a bunch of YouTube videos. I was like hundreds of them. I think it was like a little over 100 actually initially, um, that I like trained it off of, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty dope. But yeah, that's gonna be the my little take on that for now. Let's wrap up the rest of this
It's
video.
just becoming increasingly important to have transparency and
Mm-hmm.
authenticity. If you used it,
Mm-hmm.
disclose it. But again, besides all of that, I'm still genuinely encouraged by just how much pushback there is against Gen AI content, especially with the recent McDonald's Christmas ad that just got taken down. That is music to my ears. But sometimes the internet still does its thing and it targets the wrong people, right? This is still a developing situation. Everybody involved is still learning how to adapt to this new reality that we're in, and it's
Yeah,
unfortunate
for
that
sure.
sometimes shit like this
For
happens. Anyways,
sure.
guys, I thought that was an interesting story. A lot of my audience is involved in some capacity in the entertainment industry, which involves gaming, of course. So I thought it would
Facts,
be kind of
facts,
helpful to
facts.
cover this current story and provide some more context. That being said, though, if
W
you guys want
video,
to see
bro.
more art related content, subscribe to my channel and check out my Patreon for monthly art tutorials. And let this be a reminder to all of us to live our lives with a little bit more nuance.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. W video, brother. But that's gonna be the video. I hope y'all liked it. Let me know what y'all thought down below in the comment section. You know what I mean? Go ahead. If you got any artists in the chat, any AI demons in the chat, any AI defenders, any AI apologists, AI haters, whatever. Go ahead and give your take on this in the comments. I want to hear what y'all are saying. But that's gonna be it for me. I hope y'all liked it. Bye. See you in the next one.